This is the video made because of the 50 subscriber milestone. Once again, I'm happy to see that you all enjoy my content, and I hope you continue to enjoy what I still have not created. Regardless, thank you again and onward with the video. With all the recent talk of warframes that should be reworked, tweaked, buffed, etc., I decided to give my 2 cents on every frame in the game. If it isn't obvious already, I'm doing this partly because I've wanted to give my input on how every frame in the game is doing, and mostly because this is the first video idea I could think of that could easily go beyond 7 minutes. Anyway, allow me to begin. Ash, his shuriken is nice if it hits the head, and slightly nicer if you use Seeking Shuriken. His invisibility is decent if you run a power duration build, his teleport is convenient for easily getting some distance, and his blade storm is absolutely devastating. Overall, he's fine. Atlas, his landslide is fun as fuck to use over and over, his tectonics has some use, although even Volt's electric shield is better in my opinion, his petrify is average, and his rumblers is fun to use, especially when your golems are midget rock monsters running around beating the shit out of everything that moves. However, his impact damage makes him sort of useless against anything that isn't Corpus, so for the most part, he could use some tweaks. Banshee, aka the least played warframe in the game. Sonic Boom's strength is laughable, but the knockback definitely has use. Sonar is useful when enemy radar does not work, and the enemy weak spot identification has its benefits, but Helios can do the same thing, and he doesn't take up a space in your squad. Silence sounds great on paper, but with the current Fustercluck that is the stealth system we have, it's not as great as you'd think it would be in action, and Soundquake essentially makes you a sitting duck for enemies not in range of it. I'd say that Banshee is like Limbo, fun concept and especially fun to solo with, but not the best choice for a squad composition. Rework needed here. Chroma. The color-curious tank. I find that building Chroma with white colors for the cold proc makes him the warframe equivalent of Smog, minus the fire breathing of course. Spectral Scream is nice for procs. Elemental Ward suffers from crap range but makes up for it with its various buffs. Vex Armor makes you a tank rivaling Valkyr herself, and Effigy puts up a dragon-clothed turret to fight anything that comes near it. Speaking of turrets, as much as I love them, I do not want Vauban to receive any. At all. We'll get to him eventually. For the most part, Chrome is fine. Ember. Fireball is nice with its infinite cast range, Accelerant is a nice buff that doubles as a stun. Fire Blast is nice, but World on Fire is nicer, especially since Digital Extremes buffed World on Fire by making it consume less energy per second. As nice as having Ember on a team is, I'm fairly tired of seeing her and Draco. Ember's fine. Equinox, the gender bender. Let's be real, you're guaranteed to see at least one Equinox in your squad every time you play, particularly around Draco. Equinox is fine, no need to spend time here. Excalibur. /dash makes me feel like a motherfucking swordsman. Radial Blind is nice for helping your squad clear a room or reviving a teammate. Radial Javelin is strongish, mostly when you build for power strength, and Exalted Blade is the reason why people have started playing Excalibur again. Don't deny it. Don't say that Radial Javelin was better when it was Excalibur's ultimate. We both know that Super Jump was mediocre at best. Regardless, Excalibur is a pretty nice damage dealer, and he's absolutely perfect in his current condition. He doesn't require any changes. Frost, the frame you have to take along if you're doing defense. His freeze has use when you use it to freeze a surface, allowing for enemies to be picked off fairly easily since they're slowed down by the surface of ice. Ice Wave is great when you have to clear a room or proc multiple enemies. Snow Globe is the ability you will use the most out of all your abilities, which shouldn't be a surprise since you're playing Frost of all things, and Avalanche is absolutely fucking great for demolishing the enemy. Frost is cool as he is. I'm not apologizing for that joke. Hydroid, that frame that everyone says is fine, but is rarely seen in game. Tempest Barrage has infinite cast range, which helps, but the puny damage sets it back, which can kind of be overlooked if you like to keep enemies pinned down. Tidal Surge is fun as hell to use when a mob of enemies is charging you, Undertow is great when you use it in an enemy's spawn point, and Tentacle Swarm is great for making Hydroid look like something out of some typical hentai, in addition to being a nice crowd control ability, especially if you're using Pilfering Swarm. If Hydroid's not going to be reworked, he can at least be buffed. Evaru, that one frame that everyone says is better than Loki at stealth. Nobody's really complained about Evaru, outside of Artemis Bow being too small, so you can assume that Evaru is fine, although obtaining her is a bitch. Limbo, that gentlemanly fucker that everyone hates more than a Nekros who doesn't build for Desecrate. Banish has to be tweaked in order to affect more enemies with a single use. Riftwalk is fine as is, Rift Surge would best be Limbo's passive, and Cataclysm has to be changed so all looting side can be picked up. He really needs a rework. It pains me to see everyone shit on Limbo. Loki, the Master Race. Let's be real, there isn't anything wrong with Loki. If you're one of those who believe he needs to be buffed, then please, pretty please, go fuck yourself. Mag, the one frame in the game that's almost entirely useless if you're not fighting Corpus. She's one of those frames in the game that just needs a rework and nothing else, as Digital Extremes have basically made it a life goal to continuously nerf the shit out of her. Mesa, the frame who has been called weak ever since Turret Mode Peacemaker got nerfed. Truth be told, she's fine as is, the problem is that all the Mesa fanboys let loose the salty cascade once the Press 4 to win Peacemaker was changed. Mirage, the frame who will lag the shit out of your computer if you're not prepared. The only thing in Mirage's kit that I find to be weak is sleight of hand, but outside of that, she's a nice frame to use. Nekros, the frame you're taking if you're camping on survival. You're not going to use Soul Punch unless you're dying from lack of energy. Terrify's fantastic for getting space to save a teammate, and Shadows of the Dead is really handy on defense missions, especially when you're getting your ass handed to you. Why did I skip Desecrate? Because we all know that just to use Desecrate efficiently, you have to have an intimate relationship with your 3-key. Nezha, the frame you're probably going to end up buying because his parts never fucking drop from sorties. He's fun to play, but the most you'll get out of him is by spamming Divine Spears for the crowd control. Nova, that frame who is literally always a help. She makes missions much less of a hassle to run if she's in your squad, she's fine as is. Nyx, that one frame that stopped being popular when Equinox was released. Don't misunderstand me, Nyx is still fun and useful to play, it's just that Equinox is better for crowd control. Also, Nyx's Psychic Bolts is kind of lame, and is really the only ability that needs to be changed. Oberon, that one frame that nearly nobody plays because he's outclassed by everyone else. Let's move on. Rhyno, the frame you're going to play if all you need is a tank. With his rework, he's become quite fun to play. He's fine. Saren, the frame that has been called terrible since her rework made it so she wasn't press 1 key to win anymore. She's terrible, so let's ignore her. Trinity, the frame everyone loves but nobody wants to play. She's the best healer support frame in the game hands down, even after her blessing got nerfed. She's fine. Valkyr, the frame you'll play if you never want to die. She's easy and fun to play, let's keep going. Vauban, the crowd control frame that was left to die ever since Damage 2.0 nerfed his Tesla and Parker 2.0 made his bounce worthless. Even when Vauban only has 2 viable abilities to use, he's still fun to play and very useful to the squad when used. Not too long ago there was a rework suggestion for Vauban submitted to the subreddit, and not only is it great, but it doesn't involve turrets. At all. 10 out of 10 from me. Now we wait for Digital Extremes to make it so. Volt, the frame who needs a rework but hasn't been given any attention from Digital Extremes other than the time he got into Prime Access. Nothing to see here. Wukong, the frame that seems out of place in Warframe, but was put here by order of our Chinese overlords. Anyway, nothing to see here either. Last, and certainly least, Zephyr, the one frame that has become nearly pointless, if not entirely pointless, by Parker 2.0. That's my take on every frame in the game. Thank you for watching.